You are listening to Are You Ready Radio with Nick Pierce, the Barefoot Prepper. Find Are You Ready on Facebook and Instagram at Are You Ready Radio. You can also visit our home on the web. Just go to nickpiercemedia.com and click on the program's link. If you missed the live show, you can listen to the show's archives on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Podcasts, CastBox, Deezer, and many more, including our home on Spreaker. When a disaster happens, are you ready? Do you have the supplies you need to keep you and your family safe and survive? The Zombie Outpost store in Wilmington, Ohio, at Cedar Creek Flea Market, stocks quality gear you need to be ready for the next emergency or even a camping trip. Visit zombieoutpoststore.com for location and hours. Check out our assortment of essentials you need when the next disaster happens. Go to zombieoutpoststore.com. Get 10% off at checkout when you mention Are You Ready Radio. Be ready and be prepared.
In this digital society, making connections is quickly becoming a lost art form. Yet, if you are a small business owner, building your network is the only way you can get ahead. Can these skills be learned? You bet they can. Read Nose to Nose Networking. No-nonsense, in-person networking tips from a master. Who's the master? Well, who better to teach networking and friend-building skills than a golden retriever? The author, Melanie Hope, takes the antics of Abigail and translates them into the human experience. Through Abby, you will learn how to set your intention, build a network, and get into and out of conversations with grace. If you love the Dog Abby segments on Counterculture-Wise Radio, you will love Nose to Nose Networking even more. Find it on Amazon and Barnes & Noble in hard copy, Kindle, and Nook. Visit counterculturewise.com for direct links.
Greetings and salutations, Counterculture-Wise listeners. This is Maximilian von Riegelbieser inviting you and yours to listen to me and mine. Join me, my sisters Abby and Fritzy, and my weekly guests, my father Jim and Mumsy Melanie, for Counterculture-Wise.
Max, it's not your show!
And we're not your guests, Max. We're the hosts. You may want to rein it in a little bit, buddy.
Very well. Tune in every Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific at counterculturewise.com for our amazing live variety show. You can even chat with us. If you ask me, though, it should be called Counterculture Max.
Counterculture Wise! Radio with heart in mind.
Got a spare tire around that waist? Is your muffin top over the top? Do you binge eat uncontrollably? We are the government and we are here to help you. Here at our free FEMA weight loss camp, we have numerous ways to help you shed those unsightly, unwanted pounds. FEMA, or Fatties Eating Mitigated, automatically has a communist-style weight loss czar that specializes in centralized weight loss planning and communal extended fasting programs to shed that fat away in no time. Skin and boned means extra toned is the motto. Just remember, there is no way you can do it on your own. We will forcefully assist you into compliance. Failure is not an option in this utopian wonderland. How fantastic. Typical workout regimes include digging ditches and restocking them with dirt, building railways and more. Get life skills while you get lean. How do you join? Simple. Recite the Constitution in a public commons or violate the Patriot Act that includes simple misdemeanors. It's really that easy to get your own fenced-in slice of Americana. Stop being a fatty. The state is your daddy.
If you like what you are listening to, we appreciate your support. A small contribution from you, the listeners, can continue to help bring you such content and help keep things going here, even if it's just $1 a month. Keep in mind, though, in the spirit of prepping, we believe in redundancy, so it's better to have more than one, but every little bit helps pay the bills. Go to nickpiercemedia.com and click on the Support the Show link. You can make a one-time or monthly contribution in any dollar amount. And again, thank you for your support and listening. Are You Ready is an NP Media Group production and is the official broadcast of the Zombie Outpost in Wilmington, Ohio. The views and opinions expressed during this broadcast are those of the host and not that of the station, advertisers, or its affiliates. You are listening to Are You Ready Radio with Nick Pierce, the Barefoot Prepper. You never know when an emergency is going to happen. Disaster can strike at any time. Whether stuck on the road, riding out a power outage, escaping a natural disaster, or surviving a doomsday apocalypse, what would you do? No matter the scale, whether 1 hour or 1 year, will you survive? You're about to hear what it takes to be prepared. Now ask yourself, are you ready? Have you ever heard the term prepper? What comes to mind? Some of you may think it's a crazy guy with a bomb shelter and an old army truck parked on the front lawn. Well, prepper simply is a person who is ready for almost any emergency, small or large. It's no different than on a rainy day taking an umbrella with you when you leave your home or putting a coat on when it's cold outside. So maybe you think you're prepared for a brief time in that environment. But what if a few minutes turn into a day or even a year? I'm your host, Nick Pierce, the Barefoot Prepper, and I'm going to use my over 25 years of prepping and survival experience and knowledge in this program to help you and your family prepare to handle almost anything, from a small event, from a doomsday apocalypse. So get ready, because I'm prepared to enlighten you to seriously think, prepare, and answer the question, are you ready? And I want to hear anything you have to say about the subject, whatever you may have to offer. You see, it's important that we share our knowledge with each other, learn from each other, and help each other out. You see, the more prepared those around us are, the better your chances of survival will be when a disaster happens. Now, I'm sure everyone has heard the term zombies. Well, those are just those that are not prepared and come after whatever you have. Well, the call-in number is 513-815-6336 if you want to be a part of the show. Again, that's 513-815-6336. Also, check out our live chat room on Spreaker. That's Spreaker, Spreaker.com. Just go to the Are You Ready show, search it right there in the search bar. You can get there live through the website, nickpiercemedia.com. I post exclusive content on the home of Are You Ready on Facebook and on Instagram. Just go to Are You Ready Radio. You can interact with other members of the prepping community before, during, and after our broadcast. So share your knowledge. And again, if you want to call, the call-in number is 513-815-6336. So this week we're going to be talking about emergency preparedness in general. We're coming up to the month of September, at the end of August now, and September is preparedness awareness, or emergency preparedness month. And so we're going to be covering a wide range of some topics on this one. And I'm also going to be reading off some of our great fan mail that comes through and taking some suggestions, answering your questions. So, again, if you have a question, maybe you don't want to call in on the air, and that's okay. You can ask us in the chat room. You don't have to log in or anything. You can just go right in as a guest. And also, you can send me messages right through the Facebook page at Are You Ready Radio. And again, I don't have to read your name on the air. I won't even have to announce where you're from, but I'd love to answer your questions, and hopefully it helps other members of the prepping community out. Coming into Emergency Preparedness Month, you're going to see probably a lot of ads like Red Cross, FEMA, all this stuff going on the radio and TV and all that. And I know that a lot of members of the prepping community are just like, oh, nope, they're useless. Nope, we got to be self-sufficient. That is true. I've heard horror stories. I've read horror stories. Anytime one of those emergency management outfits, organizations, or whatever it is, get into a situation, and, I guess their intentions are good to some degree. But honestly, I've heard a lot of horror stories where it just doesn't work out the way people anticipated. And a lot of times people that take advantage or try to utilize these organizations are those that are not prepared. They don't have 3 days worth of food stocked up. They don't have emergency backup power. They don't have their shelter in place. They don't have a bug out plan. They don't, their whole bug in plan is just not put together right, and they depend on an organization or an agency to come in and help them. And sometimes it has taken days for emergency organizations to come in to be able to help those that really need it. And everybody's on a certain level of, their prepping. And some folks are prepared for a year, 2 years, 3 years off grid. They have their bunkers. They have their emergency vehicles. They have their bug out locations. They've been doing this a long time. There are folks out there, though, that are just not quite ready. And that's okay. On this program, I'd like to take you from everything from a simple everyday emergency to a doomsday apocalypse. And coming into Emergency Preparedness Month, I want to go back and start with just getting your home ready. A lot of folks, there's this myth that it costs a lot of money for people to prep, and that's really not the case. I would always start by looking at your home first. Your home, most likely, you will be bugging in, is the safest place to be unless it's dangerous to be in there. Now, of course, if there are floods coming and your house is taking on water, you need to evacuate. A fire, of course, you can't stay in your burning home. So there are situations when you do want to get out of Dodge, and your home is not the safe place to be. But a majority of instances, everything from storms, hurricanes, you name it, most events you can bug in, and your home is the safest place. So I always recommend starting with the home first. Having your home ready for simple little things. We'll say a little fire in the kitchen or in the living room or something. Having a fire extinguisher, knowing where the baking soda is, having an escape route, multiple escape routes. What to do if someone breaks into your home? Do you have a safe room? Do you have a place where you and your family can go that you're able to hunker in for a little bit of time, be able to call for help, be able to survive until help gets there? What is your plan? And start with the home. You spend a majority of your time at home or at your job or school. You spend very little time out shopping, and we've talked about get-home bags and bug-out bags and all this, and we've also talked about getting your home ready. And start there. Prepping, like I said, does not have to cost a lot of money. You want to first assess the essentials. What are the most things that you need in order to survive? And water is definitely number one on the list. Water does not have to be that expensive either. Now, I do a trick, and I hope this helps, where I drink a lot of cranberry juice and all that. And I always buy the juice in those plastic juice bottles, the tall, like maybe 2-liter juices. And I rinse those out thoroughly, sanitize them, and then I fill those up with water. And there's two or three different areas in the home where I have a huge stash of that water. Soda bottles work good too. Now, I know that some people, are against using the soda bottles again and all that. Plastic does break down over time in those a lot faster than it does in those juice bottles, I found out. And, of course, if you have the money, you can get those water storage bricks, those blue water containers and all that, and that's great too. Because plastic does break down over time. When it comes to using the colored, like green ones, like that Mountain Dew or Sprite or 7-Up or something come in, you can use those to store water, maybe not as long as the clear ones, because the chemical in the plastic does kind of give the water an off taste after about 2 years. But you're not just using water to drink. You're using water to brush your teeth, wash in, maybe flush toilets. You're using it for other sanitation needs. And, if you have your drinking water, you have your, cleaning and cooking water, and that's great. But water. They say about 1 gallon per person per day. Round that up to like 2 or 3, because maybe a gallon for someone to drink, gallon and a half for someone to drink each day, and then the other half gallon or 2 gallons or gallon and a half, however you break it down, would be good for some of those, like brushing your teeth, washing yourself, maybe doing some dishes, cooking, stuff like that. But yeah, water. You can go 3 days without water. That's a necessity that you need. 3 minutes without air, 3 hours without shelter. The rule of threes, you probably heard me mention it before. Now, of course, shelter first, air first, before, air even before that. So, I mean, if you have your home ready, your duck down, bunker in, hunker down, bug in area, location, your home ready. Okay, you're going to have air and you have shelter. A lot of times people, when they start prepping, they got to get the backpack, they got to get all this gear, they got to get the gadgets, they got to get all this. They overlook simple things that they really need. When it comes to traveling around, water is very hard to carry. Can you carry 5 gallons of water in a backpack with all your other gear? Probably not. Well, in my get-home bag and in my bug-out bag and even at home, I have those life straws, those water straws. Very lightweight, stick in anything and drink. Look at your home. You may have stuff already. How about some dry goods that are stocked up? Next time you go to the store, you figure if your family eats, we'll say, a half a pound of rice each week buy a pound of rice and stock up on it. Maybe your family loves ramen noodles. Buy some extra each time you go so that you have a reserve, you have a stockpile going. Sometimes the impact it has on your food budget is just maybe $3, maybe $5 a week, if that, just to stock up on food that you may need, because you're going to need food. There's no need to dump a ton of money into MREs. Yeah, they're great, chemical attack. I mean, you can seal your ramen noodles and rice and stuff like that in buckets and bins and stuff like that if you want. Go for it. Put them in Mylar bags or vacuum bags or even just a regular plastic Ziploc bag and put them in there. Most of that food is already sealed. That's great. But you don't need to spend a lot of money on MREs that are going to sit on your shelf just because they have a 10-year shelf life. Are you going to eat them? A golden rule in prepping when it comes to food is store what you eat and eat what you store. You don't want to say, oh, this is good survival food. And if it hits the shan situation, we have to do that to keep it clean for the radio. So when a fit hits the shan situation, we have all these like protein bars, and we have these solid like calorie bars, and we have Tang. I mean, if your family doesn't normally eat it and they will never touch it, it's going to go bad before you may ever need it. So why stockpile things? Why store things that you sit there and look at them in a store and say, oh, this is good emergency situation food. This is great for when there's a disaster. During the zombie apocalypse, we're going to have tons of beef stew in a can. Yeah, beef stew in a can is great. I like it. I mean, there are great brands out there. Oh, there's also really bad brands. And what you do is, if you think that this is a good idea, buy 1 or 2 cans for your family. One night, serve it for dinner. Say, hey, listen, this is our plan. I know everybody's talking, we want to get, all this survival food, but we're not going to dump a lot of money, and we're not going to add this to our food budget unless we know that everybody likes it. So, buy a can or 2, enough for the family for one meal. Serve that for dinner. If everybody likes it, and they think, hey, this is something we would eat maybe every few weeks, great. Then you start introducing that into your shopping. You start introducing that into your prepping budget and all that. Again, food with a long shelf life. It'll sit there for a long time. Make sure you get it in a good store, though. You can go to dollar stores and not so much like the higher-end dollar stores, like the Family Dollars and all that. But you can go to like a Dollar Tree and they sell beef stew, or like one of those off-brand stores like Save-A-Lot. Okay? Don't buy your canned stuff there. I mean, I hate to say it. I mean, a lot of people probably find a great deal there. Some people may work at those stores like Dollar Tree or Save-A-Lot and all that. But quality-wise, I mean, yeah, okay, it could be made by the same manufacturer. Okay. But the problem is I've noticed that the cans do not last as long. I noticed that they start to have that bulging. They get squishy and all that after a while. Sometimes within 2 years of buying them. Whereas I've had stuff from first-hand, top, first A stock, whatever you want to call it, stores, like your food store, like whether it's a Meijer or a Kroger, that are first and, food stores, even your local markets, family-owned and operated stores, food stores and all that. They're great, local grocery chains and all that. Maybe regional or community stores, and perfect for that. When you start to go to those second-line B-stock type stores where, yeah, it's really cheap, and yeah, I know sometimes you're paying for the brand, but you also got to look at the quality of the manufacturing. Nothing worse than a year down the road, and you think, oh, it hasn't even expired yet, and that can's already on its last legs. The seals may be like not quite sealed right, kind of almost cracking. You see the bulging in the can, it's squishy. There's just something about that you do not want to eat. And you do not want to have to rely on that if that's the only food that you have. So sometimes it's worth spending the extra 15 or 20 cents or even 50 cents for a can of, maybe brand name food in one of those other retailers. I mean, if you've already sat there and said, oh, I'm going to spend $100 on 50 MREs or $100 on 10 MREs, I mean, depending on where you're getting them and what kind of MREs these are, I mean, look at some stuff that may be more appetizing, more palatable. Now, if you want to go MREs, that's great. You can. I mean, why not? I mean, they're great for backpacking, lightweight. Carrying canned stuff is not good. Maybe bug-out bags, stuff like that. MREs are perfect. Get used to eating them first, though. Try them at home a couple times before you say, this is what I'm going to rely on for a week. Your body digests food differently based on your diet. Your body adapts to what you normally eat. And when you start introducing foreign stuff into your diet, your body does not always agree with it. And that holds true especially to people that may have some bowel issues, like irritable bowel, like IBS-D, Crohn's, anything that infects your intestines that may have lead to a little more sensitivity than others. But yeah, start on your home. Start in your home. Do an inventory of what you have in your home so that you know what you need. And looks like we're coming up to a commercial break. But start in your home. Figure out what you have. Do an inventory. Look at what you may need. Look at what you have. And that's where your plan starts. Well, we're coming up to a quick time out at the bottom. Find Are You Ready on Facebook and Instagram at Are You Ready Radio. You can also visit our home on the web. Just go to nickpiercemedia.com and click on the program's link. If you missed the live show, you can listen to the show's archives on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Podcasts, CastBox, Deezer, and many more, including our home on Spreaker. When a disaster happens, are you ready? Do you have the supplies you need to keep you and your family safe and survive? The Zombie Outpost store in Wilmington, Ohio, at Cedar Creek Flea Market stocks quality gear you need to be ready for the next emergency or even a camping trip. Visit zombieoutpoststore.com for location and hours. Check out our assortment of essentials you need when the next disaster happens. Go to zombieoutpoststore.com. Get 10% off at checkout when you mention Are You Ready Radio. Be ready and be prepared.
In this digital society, making connections is quickly becoming a lost art form. Yet, if you are a small business owner, building your network is the only way you can get ahead. Can these skills be learned? You bet they can. Read Nose to Nose Networking. No nonsense, in-person networking tips from a master. Who's the master? Well, who better to teach networking and friend-building skills than a golden retriever? The author, Melanie Hope, takes the antics of Abigail and translates them into the human experience. Through Abby, you will learn how to set your intention, build a network, and get into and out of conversations with grace. If you love the Dog Abby segments on Counterculture-Wise Radio, you will love Nose to Nose Networking even more. Find it on Amazon and Barnes & Noble in hard copy, Kindle, and Nook. Visit counterculturewise.com for direct links.
Greetings and salutations, counterculture-wise listeners. This is Maximilian von Riegelbieser inviting you and yours to listen to me and mine. Join me, my sisters Abby and Fritzy, and my weekly guests, my father Jim and Mumsy Melanie, for Counterculture-wise.
Max, it's not your show!
And we're not your guests, Max. We're the hosts. You may want to rein it in a little bit, buddy.
Very well. Tune in every Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific at counterculturewise.com for our amazing live variety show. You can even chat with us. If you ask me, though, it should be called Counterculture Max.
Counterculture Wise! Radio with heart in mind.
Got a spare tire around that waist? Is your muffin top over the top? Do you binge eat uncontrollably? We are the government and we are here to help you. Here at our free FEMA weight loss camp, we have numerous ways to help you shed those unsightly, unwanted pounds. FEMA, or Fatties Eating Mitigated, automatically has a communist-style weight loss czar that specializes in centralized weight loss planning and communal extended fasting programs to shed that fat away in no time. Skin and boned means extra toned is the motto. Just remember, there is no way you can do it on your own. We will forcefully assist you into compliance. Failure is not an option in this utopian wonderland. How fantastic. Typical workout regimes include digging ditches and restocking them with dirt, building railways and more. Get life skills while you get lean. How do you join? Simple. Recite the Constitution in a public commons or violate the Patriot Act that includes simple misdemeanors. It's really that easy to get your own fenced-in slice of Americana. Stop being a fatty. The state is your daddy.
If you like what you are listening to, we appreciate your support. A small contribution from you, the listeners, can continue to help bring you such content and help keep things going here, even if it's just $1 a month. Keep in mind, though, in the spirit of prepping, we believe in redundancy, so it's better to have more than one, but every little bit helps pay the bills. Go to nickpiercemedia.com and click on the Support the Show link. You can make a one-time or monthly contribution in any dollar amount. And again, thank you for your support and listening. You are listening to Are You Ready Radio with Nick Pierce, the Barefoot Prepper. And welcome back, everyone. Thanks for sticking around during that brief interruption there, but we had to pay some bills. I'm Nick Pierce, the Barefoot Prepper. You are listening to Are You Ready Radio?
Running about being ready, getting ready, being prepared, and all that for the disasters. The zombie apocalypse is coming. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to help you get ready, but we're breaking it down for you, making it easy. And we're here to prepare you, not scare you at all. The whole idea of preparedness is not to scare you into, with fear, to have you thinking that, oh, you need all this gear. And we were talking about that before the first break. You don't need a lot of gear. You don't have to spend a lot of money. We're looking at your home first, assessing what you have, start with an inventory, and then build from there. The most important things are water. You can go 3 days without water. Maybe 3 gallons of water per person per day. Start there. The food we were talking about, start with your pantry, start with your kitchen. What do you have? Power goes down. Start with your refrigerator first, then start eating what's in your freezer, and then go into the canned and dry stuff. Keep that in mind. Someone asked me that. They said, well, I don't have any generators or anything to keep my food fresh in the refrigerator. And my husband has a power inverter in his car, but we can't run the car. It's not strong enough to run the refrigerator. Well, that's the way around it. Start with the refrigerator, because that stuff's going to go bad first. Only open it when needed. You know exactly where everything is. You can get in and out of there. You don't want to have it open, fumbling around for stuff, so keep your refrigerator organized. Same thing with your freezer. And, then once that food starts to dwindle down, eat that stuff first, then move into your pantry and your reserve. We're also talking about the MREs and all that. I know we ran out of time before the commercial break kicked in. But MREs, I want to just finish that up real quick. Like I was saying, store what you eat what you store. And MREs may be great for, backpacking, your bug out situation, maybe one or two in your get home bag. Always good to have some food that lasts a long time. Canned food is not easy to carry around. But another thing, MREs can be expensive. I mean, sometimes $5, $7 a piece. And before you decide that you're going to buy $300 with a bucket of MREs worth, in a bucket, and that's what your family's going to eat when the zombie apocalypse happens, buy one or two, try it, see if it's something you can eat. If not, don't invest a lot of money in it. I mean, you could sit there and say, yeah, but they last 10 years, and when the fit hits the shan, my family and I, we're going to eat MREs. Very ambitious. When it really happens, they may not. And of course, the argument always is, well, if they're hungry enough, anybody will eat anything. Yeah, that's true. But why not have food that you eat? Try the beef stews, try tuna, try this other stuff. And I've made my own homemade MREs. They have those tuna packets, and they also have other stuff like chicken and stuff like that in packets already. Put one or two of those in a vacuum bag. Add maybe some rice, some macaroni, maybe some seasoning, a soy sauce packet, some salt and pepper, a little bit of toilet paper. I have a couple cigarettes in mine, matches, a multivitamin. I find those are helpful because, you don't get all the nutrition that you need from, like, we'll say, a homemade MRE. I mean, now, yeah, people out there, they'll dehydrate all kinds of vegetables and stuff and then just put some water in there. I mean, you can make them however you want. Make them with what you know you're going to eat. And sometimes for just maybe $2, you can make your own MREs. And, and I make the bags extra, large, and this way they fold over. This way they can also be used to collect water, reseal food, and stuff like that. And I also do the same thing for my cat, Magic the Prepper cat. I make him his own homemade MREs as well. So for those of you with pets and you want to try this out, I put a video on my Facebook page a while back about MREs for your pets and prepping for your pets and all that. Definitely check that out. That's something that a lot of people do overlook. They think that, my dog or my cat or my gerbil or my bird will eat whatever we have. No, they will after a while. Is it good for them? And don't forget about kitty litter. Do you have dog pads? If for any reason your dog can't go outside, maybe something's going on. You can't leave your home, and you're in a bug-in situation. What do you do with your dog? You can't just go out for a walk in a flood, a hurricane, a tornado. Do you have those pads? Is your dog trained to use those? How about a litter box for your dog? Ever think of that? Now, maybe a litter box for the dog may be a little different than a litter box for the cat. You got to work with it and see what it's used to. Maybe having a spot of grass or something in a pan like a cat box, because it's something it's familiar with, may help in that situation if you can't get them trained on a dog pad. Maybe sand instead of kitty litter. You know your man's best friend better than I do. But just to throw a few suggestions out there. Cats are easy. You can even teach them to use the toilet. But do you have extra kitty litter? And it comes down to sanitation, which I wanted to talk about. I think that was the main point of this episode. We haven't talked about it at all yet. We talk a lot about food and gear, quite a bit on the program. And a lot of people focus on that. But we may overlook things that may help us stay healthy, though. Yeah, sanitation. We can have food, we can have shelter, we can have all the gear we want to buy if we want. But if you don't keep the environment clean, you're not going to survive. See, a lack of sanitation can lead to everything from cross-contamination in your food, storage in your living area, bad hygiene, disease, even up to death. And when you're in a bug-in situation, you're in a bug-out situation. Hygiene and sanitation, they're easy to handle in society today because we have things like running water, we have the hot water heater, we have toilets, we have showers, sinks, laundry machines, and so on. Sanitation is never a pleasant subject, but it's important. So you have to keep in mind that in a disaster or survival situation, all these basic commodities that we have, and they're going to be scarce. They may not even be available anymore due to like power outage, and that's how the water flows. If the grid goes down for short or long period of time, sanitation and hygiene become an issue, and it's a challenge. Knowing how to, properly be hygienic and all this during a survival situation can greatly increase your chances of survival. And one main thing is, of course, we always say, wash your hands. Keep your hands clean, okay, when handling anything that may carry bacteria. I mean, even a cat hole. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that term. It's pretty much a place where you can, if you're in the woods, dig a hole, and that's where you do your business. But then do you have a way to clean your hands and all that before you start handling food? Because you want to prevent that contamination from bacteria into your food. You normally never go to a latrine or something within 100 feet. You want to go 200 feet if possible. Hand sanitizer, great option for that, rubbing alcohol and all that in any emergency situation. Everything from keeping your hair clean. Your hair can become a great lair for parasites, fleas, and all that. And that could cause infection and disease. Keeping your hair trimmed and clean and combed, it greatly keeps the dangerous parasites and bacteria away. A lot of times things like this are overlooked. How do you deal with this in your home? How about clean clothes? Do you have a way to do your laundry if you're not able to use your laundry machine, like your washer and dryer? And, if it's dry, it's in good condition. And, again, that'll help. Same thing with oral hygiene, keeping your teeth clean, taking care of your mouth and the teeth at least once a day to keep a lot of bacteria from growing. And that, of course, with good oral hygiene, you always hear the stories about, if you have a happy mouth, a clean mouth, then it means a healthy body too, and all that. And, there's so much when it comes down to it. And this is the kitty litter thing is what made me think of it. In an event when you no longer have the sewer system running, the sewers are no longer pumping wastewater out. You have a way to plug your toilets to keep from backflow and all that from the sewer lines into your home. Do you have a way to get running water so you can at least bathe or shower or wash your hands and all that? A couple things that work great is, the solar showers. You can set up in such a way so that, in your kitchen somewhere you have a running water. If you just fill that bag and put it on top of your refrigerator, it doesn't have to be warm. I mean, you could put it in the window for a while and then put it back on the refrigerator when you're ready to use it. And then you have some way to run water to do simple things, maybe a 3-compartment configuration for doing dishes. Great. Yes, good idea. Message here. As far as who needs to do dishes, we just use paper plates, plastic, everything, and all that. Yeah. I mean, short term, that's a great idea. So, putting some of that in your pantry, you can do that. And this way you don't have to worry about dishes. I mean, if you have raw meat on one plate, you throw it out. But you also need a way to clean your surfaces down. And, paper, plastic, and all that, it's not going to last forever. But definitely something good to stock up on. Do you have a basic kit in your emergency kit, in your bug-out bag? Do you have toilet paper? That's a no-brainer. That's not going to be easy to come across, in a disaster if you're not stocked up on that. Deodorant, toothbrush, toothpaste, all that stuff. Even a small little personal first aid kit, some liquid soap, everything. Now, back to the kitty litter thing, which is what made me think about this whole thing. I'm playing around with ideas in a safe room that I have in my home. What if you're stuck in there for a long period of time, and maybe there's a threat, or maybe there's any reason that you have to use it. There's no plumbing in there. Going to be very difficult if you're stuck in there for a long period of time. So now I have a cat, so of course it has a litter box in there. Okay, that's great. But then I thought about it. Kitty litter, get the good stuff too. If you're going to be in a small little confined space, don't chintz out here. 2 litter boxes, one for me, one for Magic the Prepper Cat. I know, it sounds crazy. Now, I've played around with the idea of the bucket thing. And the bucket thing works too. You can get those 5-gallon buckets and a lid. They make those waste bags with the chemical and all that. And you can use those, and that's great. But again, you have, well, the cool part about that, and both have their pros and cons. Okay. Yeah, I mean, the litter box is good for some waste. Okay. Clumps it, buries it, it keeps it contained. Another thing, a disinfectant spray too. Now, the other thing with the buckets thing is you get those 5-gallon buckets and you get those bags and they have those enzymes, and you don't even have to spend the money on these pre-made bags. What you do is you can use the regular black garbage bags. I mean, okay, you should probably use the red biohazard bags, but, emergency situation and all that, whatever, some of the rules get thrown out the window. As long as you know what's what. Get a red bucket or get an orange bucket and everything else is white. This way you're not accidentally opening that up and saying, gravy. You don't pour that on your mashed potatoes. You'd know as soon as you open it up, though. But I don't know anybody that has buckets of gravy long-term for food preps for if it hits the shan situation, but you never know. So you have the, this, like we'll say in my safe room, okay? The bucket idea, 5-gallon bucket with a lid. You can even get lids that go on them that are like toilet seats. I know people are getting they're like really pimping these toilet buckets out. I mean, it's like pimp my bucket, and you can get the toilet seats and stuff. It probably even has little hooks for toilet paper and stuff like that. I mean, you probably have a whole bathroom caddy by the time you're done accessorizing a 5-gallon bucket just to take a dump in, which I think is a little ridiculous. But it's there. You can even get portable little latrine tents that also double as showers. You can put your bucket in there if you're in the woods or in a campground. You don't want to go all the way to the bath. I mean, some of the stuff I found on the market is a little crazy. But again, we're trying to do this without spending a lot of money. So for $2 or whatever, actually some Walmarts, you can go to a Walmart and they'll give you the bucket and the lid for free right at the bakery, or maybe for $1, depending on your Walmart, because they don't reuse them. So they just, they just give them away to people. So you go to the bakery section, probably mid-morning, early afternoon, because they have the buckets of flour and mix and all the ingredients that they use to make their cakes and all that. So a buddy of mine that works at Walmart, she just says, oh, yeah, just come by. Now, of course, it's like her Walmart that she works in is 45 minutes away. It's not worth it. I could go to Home Depot in the amount of time and gas it would take me just to get to her location. But it's kind of like one of those, next time I see her, she'll have a few buckets for me, which is great. So you have, or even if you spray paint the bucket, just so you know that this is not the food. And, of course, you never want to keep it near your food anyway. But yeah, so what you can do is you can get, they make it for boats, they make it for septic tanks. There's all different chemical and product on the market with enzymes. That blue stuff that you see in a lot of latrines, they use that in like marine toilets, campers and RVs and stuff like that, to treat what becomes their black water. And they also have the enzyme stuff that you can put in your septic tanks. You can buy right at a home improvement store, like Lowe's or Ace or any one of those hardware stores. Home improvement places. So it's relatively cheap, good to have. And then you just need a heavy-duty garbage bag, the 5-gallon bucket, and now, voila, you have your toilet. A great option, I think it's better than just the bag itself. But you can get those bags, for hiking and all that seal, and, that are pre-treated with all that. When you do set up your latrine, like I was talking about, if you're doing this outdoors and you have a campsite or you're in the woods, you want to make sure that you set that up about 100 to 200 feet away from your site, away from water, your water source, and the other resources that you have. Because again, sanitation. Now, of course, there's all kinds of things like trenches that you can build and all that. But yeah, simple bucket. If you want to get the seat for it, go ahead. Pimp your survival toilet all you want. Bags and everything else. What else? Yeah, but, think about it for your pets. Is your dog trained? Aquachem. That's what it is. Aquachem, BioClean. Those are just some brands. Ridex. That's the stuff for your septic tank and all that. So that's pretty much what you're looking for when it comes to, some of the stuff you may want to use to make your homemade prepper bathrooms, we'll say, to do your business. Great, simple solution, and hopefully that helps. And keep it with sanitation. How about latex gloves? You handle raw meat, you throw the gloves away. If you have to use the bathroom, use gloves. So again, certain things to stockpile that maybe you come across in your everyday life that maybe you can look at it a different way and say, hey, you know what? I may need that. Now, don't look at everything and say, oh, I'm a prepper all of a sudden. I need that. I may need that. I may need that. Everything you look at, you don't want to turn yourself into a hoarder. That's a big misconception that people have when it comes to prepping. It's like, oh, those preppers over there, they're just a bunch of hoarders. They just have a ton of, blah, blah, blah. Everything they see is good for something. And no, I mean, you can't live in a dump. And you don't need everything that you see. Okay. Because on my past episodes, I've mentioned this. You can never prepare for everything. I mean, it's very hard. You'll never be able to prepare for everything in the world that could happen. So don't even try. You just want to be self-sufficient, self-sustaining, and have as much knowledge, as much skill, and what you need for you, your family, and anybody else that's part of your plan, your tribe, your group, your family, whatever it is. And of course, yeah, I mean, a lot of people are just like, yeah, I'm going to be a prepper, and they go out and buy guns and ammo. That's always been a crazy concept, yes? You want to protect what you have. But you need water. You need food. You need shelter. You need air. Bullets, you can't eat a bullet. You can protect what you have with a bullet. You can't eat your gun. You're going to need the gun to fire the bullets. Well, unless you're one of those idiots that put them on the workbench and smacks the back of them with hammers and blow the whole place up, including your head. I mean, I've seen that stuff. Well, don't get any ideas from me. But yeah, I mean, Sensei, bleach. Now, bleach is great for a lot of different things. I mean, it'll help with your sanitation when it comes to the bathroom, when it comes to doing dishes. Even if you have to use it to wash your hands, clean surfaces. Keep your environment clean. And, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Make sure you have your water. Like I said, the spray Lysol. Do you have infants? Do you have babies? Do you have extra diapers and wipes? Do you have all the stuff that they need? And even special diet for them, like formula and stuff like that. Now, I'm sure, yes, we have a lot of naturalists that listen to the group. I mean, that's fine. If you want to run around in the woods in loincloths with a baby stuck to your teeth, you can do that. And that's fine. But in a stressful survival situation, will you be able to? So maybe your baby needs to get a little adjustment, Hopefully, hey, by the time when it happens, maybe they won't need formula anymore. Maybe they won't be breastfeeding and all that. But, do you have an alternate? Do you have a way to make sure the baby's happy? And, I mean, there's all different ways when it comes to sanitation. And it's a big factor when thinking about your long-term survival in any particular environment.
Oh, well, that music means that it's time to pay some bills. We got to take a quick time out. I'm Nick Pierce, the Barefoot Prepper. You are listening to Are You Ready Radio. Stick around. I'll be right back. Find Are You Ready on Facebook and Instagram at Are You Ready Radio. You can also visit our home on the web. Just go to nickpiercemedia.com and click on the program's link. If you missed the live show, you can listen to the show's archives on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Podcasts, CastBox, Deezer, and many more, including our home on Spreaker. When a disaster happens, are you ready? Do you have the supplies you need to keep you and your family safe and survive? The Zombie Outpost store in Wilmington, Ohio, at Cedar Creek Flea Market, stocks quality gear you need to be ready for the next emergency or even a camping trip. Visit zombieoutpoststore.com for location and hours. Check out our assortment of essentials you need when the next disaster happens. Go to zombieoutpoststore.com. Get 10% off at checkout when you mention Are You Ready Radio. Be ready and be prepared.
In this digital society, making connections is quickly becoming a lost art form. Yet, if you are a small business owner, building your network is the only way you can get ahead. Can these skills be learned? You bet they can. Read Nose to Nose Networking. No nonsense, in-person networking tips from a master. Who's the master? Well, who better to teach networking and friend-building skills than a golden retriever? The author, Melanie Hope, takes the antics of Abigail and translates them into the human experience. Through Abby, you will learn how to set your intention, build a network, and get into and out of conversations with grace. If you love the Dog Abby segments on Counterculture-Wise Radio, you will love Nose to Nose Networking even more. Find it on Amazon and Barnes & Noble in hard copy, Kindle, and Nook. Visit counterculturewise.com for direct links.
Hey, how you doing? This is Magic Pierce inviting you and yours to listen to some good friends of mine that have a show too. Did you really think my daddy is the only one that just runs his mouth all the time and that's the only thing I listen to? No, it's not. I got a show I listen to on Sundays. Join host Max and his co-host, my hottie Fritzy, and of course my good friend Abby on Counterculture-Wise, Sundays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern. They have their own human guests, Melanie and Jim, each week. They don't meow a lot, but you get what they're saying. Now let me tell you, you have to go to counterculturewise.com. Use your paws to play with the mouse and scroll down to the on-the-air button on the right to hear their show. Just click on that. After that, watch them on Periscope like I do. Daddy gives me a little mouse to play with, and I get farts the whole time. It's a great show. Check it out. Counterculturewise.com. If you don't tune in, I get cuckoos on you.
Thank you so much for that ringing endorsement, Magic. It warms the orange hearts of me and Abby and the gray heart of Fritzy to hear you say such amazing things about our show. I'm pretty sure that Mumsy and Father have pink hearts, so we will assume their hearts are warmed too.
Forget about it. I got you guys. Good peoples.
Got a spare tire around that waist? Is your muffin top over the top? Do you binge eat uncontrollably? We are the government and we are here to help you. Here at our free FEMA weight loss camp, we have numerous ways to help you shed those unsightly, unwanted pounds. FEMA, or Fatties Eating Mitigated, automatically has a communist-style weight loss czar that specializes in centralized weight loss planning and communal extended fasting programs to shed that fat away in no time. Skin and boned means extra tone is the motto. Just remember, there is no way you can do it on your own. We will forcefully assist you into compliance. Failure is not an option in this utopian wonderland. How fantastic. Typical workout regimes include digging ditches and restocking them with dirt, building railways and more. Get life skills while you get lean. How do you join? Simple. Recite the Constitution in a public commons, or violate the Patriot Act that includes simple misdemeanors. It's really that easy to get your own fenced-in slice of Americana. Stop being a fatty. The state is your daddy.
If you like what you are listening to, we appreciate your support. A small contribution from you, the listeners, can continue to help bring you such content and help keep things going here, even if it's just $1 a month. Keep in mind, though, in the spirit of prepping, we believe in redundancy, so it's better to have more than one, but every little bit helps pay the bills. Go to nickpiercemedia.com and click on the Support the Show link. You can make a one-time or monthly contribution in any dollar amount. And again, thank you for your support and listening. You are listening to Are You Ready Radio with Nick Pierce, the Barefoot Prepper. And welcome back, everyone. Thanks for sticking around during that brief interruption there, but we had to pay some bills. I'm Nick Pierce, the Barefoot Prepper. You are listening to Are You Ready Radio. And, before we pick up where we left off, I did want to mention, valuable things when it comes to preparedness is skills. And the Ohio Department of Natural Resources is offering a beginning archery program. And this takes place on the third Wednesday of each month from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. The class is held at the Spring Valley Shooting Range. It's 3570 Houston Road in Waynesville, Ohio. All the equipment is provided. You're welcome to bring your own personal safety equipment. The class is open from ages 8 to 18, regardless of your experience, so from beginner to advanced. And if you want to check it out or you have any questions, I'm going to give you a number to call. And it's 937-269-3547. Again, that's 937-269-3547. And it's you can also, there's an email, it's a long email address. They have a website, though, ndr@ohio.gov, and I'm sure you'll find information about it there. Great program. Archery is a great skill to learn, especially when you have no bullets, and you can make your own bow and arrow.
And before the break, we were talking a lot about different things. And one thing that came up is about some of the gear that people buy. And someone sent me a message that wanted to, touch on, a lot of the gear and stuff that they have. And I wanted to point out, and when I say I take most of my summer and I'm out doing training and practicing and sharpening skills and all this, I get different things all the time. It's something I do. Sometimes people send me gear to test out and in hopes that I'll talk about it or something on the air. And I typically don't do that. I don't plug anything. If I do find something really cool, I'll recommend it, as far as what it is. But until they drop off a big suitcase full of money, I'm not going to talk about their brand on the air. But, I don't mind testing it out. So when it comes to stuff like that, test everything yourself. Don't assume that all these tools or gear or something will work for you when you actually need them. You have to try them out. Also, don't just store several of the same tool because it's that tool that could end up not working for you. You might need a different type of tool. So, of course, redundancy comes in a lot. Of course, the can opener. Have more than one can opener. Have a manual can opener, not just an electric can opener. Have different types of can openers. Okay, we're all familiar with can openers just as much as we're probably all familiar with a hammer and a screwdriver. But take, for example, one of my favorite things to have in my both get-home bag and, in different places, glove compartment, a little bag in the truck and all that, is one of those cable saws. Okay. Now, cable saw has a lot of different uses, of course. It is a saw. It's a small little wire saw with a little loop on each end, and you can pretty much cut through a log with it if you have the time and the energy to do it. I've noticed that different cable saws are different. Of course, some of you may have seen like the chainsaw blade on the handles, and those are pretty cool. Again, I'm always looking at weight, size, and all that. So for me, I've tried the chainsaw chain on the handles before, and it actually works pretty cool. Okay, I like it. However, it just weighs too much. It's not for me. And I prefer one of those little cheap, you get it for like $3, $4, maybe $5, depending on where you buy them. And they just roll right up. It's like a piece of wire with two key rings on the end, and you just kind of cut through. Now, I was working on a project, and I decided, of course, I'm going to do it the hard way. Now, I had a bow saw, an axe, and hatchets, and all this stuff at this one location that I was doing an exercise in. But I figured, no, I'm going to use the cable saw. I've used it before. And it's amazing, you kind of have to let it unroll and let it do its thing before you can really use it. So being familiar with your equipment, testing it and all that, and then I thought back to how easy that chainsaw cable saw, the chainsaw pocket saw is. And I'm just like, maybe I do want to get that. But then again, I'd also have to cut out maybe 2 pounds of something else from somewhere in the bag. So, I still use the cable saw, though, because I don't like the weight. But I realized it was a little more difficult than using that. Now, maybe in another bag or in another bin or something on a bug out, or maybe someplace else, another pack or something. I may have one of those, but I don't know. So yeah, test your gear for yourself. See if you like it. See if you're comfortable using it. Make sure you're good at using it. If you have a tool or a piece of equipment that you know you're going to need, but yet you've never used it before, you may struggle using it for the first. Just keep that in mind. You want to be able to use all your tools and be good at using them. Another thing we were talking about before the break is preparing for everything. And like I was saying, we can't prepare for everything that may happen. So you can't really make assumptions about what's going to happen. See, you can't say, oh, well, no matter what it is, I'm bugging out. And others may say, no matter what it is, I'm bugging in. You need a plan A and you need a plan B. You cannot predict everything. You can never be prepared for everything. Have multiple plans. Practice that plan. A lot of times people have a great plan. It looks good on paper. The ideas are perfect. You'll sit around there with you and your buddies, you and your family, and your family has this wonderful plan. Very ambitious. Hey, maybe it'll work. And they're just like, yep, we're going to put on our packs. We're going to load this stuff up. We're going to drive to this point. We're going to carry this stuff in. And you're like, yeah, that works. But then have you ever tried to do it? Have you ever sat there and said, okay, well, let's see if this really works? It may look great on paper. It may be the best plan in the world. Well, the reason why it's the best plan in the world is, and maybe no one's thought of it or you've never heard of anybody doing it, is maybe it's not going to work. It sounds too good to be true. Test it. Figure out where the weaknesses are in that plan. Is it even possible? Can your family physically execute this plan no matter when, any time of day, any weather condition? It may work in a perfect sunny day, but have you been to some of the terrain you're going to go through? Have you explored it in different climates? Have you explored it during different seasons, during different weather conditions, whether it's raining or sunny, snowing? What obstacles do you have? Because terrain changes with the season. And do you have a get-home plan? A lot of times people are very focused around, okay, we're home, we need to leave the home. Here's the plan. But what if you're not home? Many people, that are in a disaster, it could happen away from your home. So what if you're at work or school or the store, you're shopping at the mall? In next week's episode, I'm going to talk about a get-home bag. Because I know we've talked a lot about the bug-out bag. We talked about the plans. We talked about getting your home ready for bugging. We've talked about all that. So next week, I want to get into the whole get-home bag and the get-home plan. But a couple things to think of. Many people forget that, okay, the disaster could happen not just at home, but while you're away from home. So when you're at work, do you have a bag ready with essentials that you need to get home? Look at 9/11, for example, in New York City. All those people were at work. They were not ready for what could happen. Who knew that something like that could happen? Like I said, you can't plan for everything. But that's what actually prompted me to have a backup cell phone and make sure that the whistle's on top of the bag, not buried in the bag. So a lot of people were stuck. They couldn't call for help, lines were jammed, and only certain carriers were working at certain moments. So having a backup cell phone in my get-home bag that worked off an opposite carrier, and again, just a simple stick phone. Now, I've had to upgrade it since to digital, and as the, like 3G, 4G, and all that came along, I had to do some upgrades to it, but I still keep this very simple one. It's not a smartphone. It's nothing. The purposes are to make and receive phone calls through a different carrier. Sometimes landlines were up, cell phones were up. One carrier was working, one carrier wasn't. In the very beginning there, it was very difficult to give a position, directions, and all that. Communication is key in a survival situation. And if it hits this Shan moment, you need to be able to communicate. You need as much information from the outside world into your situation, and you need to be able to communicate your position, your situation, in order for rescue. Survival is not always about going off grid and being undetected, evasion, and escape. Survival, if it hits the Shan situation, could also be about rescue. And you need to incorporate both ends of that, whether it's your get home, bug out, or all that. Even just a simple emergency kit you keep in the car. What does it have? Are you going to get stranded somewhere? If you are stranded in a disaster, roads are impassable, are you able to make your way home? Are you able to walk home? And we're going to get into the get home bags and stuff like that next week, as well as the plan. But it's important maybe now to start thinking about, do you have a plan to get home? And that also comes along with staying in shape. We're not all. You think of prepper. We're not the perfectly fit, person, militant from the military, Marine type, caliber, Navy SEAL type, figure, build, training, and conditioning and all that. No, we are everyday people. We're average. So you got to look at your condition. And you also need to make your plan around that, whether it's a bug out plan, a get home plan, your bug in plan. Yeah, everybody wants to be in perfect shape. Reality is that most of us probably aren't. So are we making plans for bug out and bug in and get home and all these plans that we're making as part of our emergency plan? Do they fit our conditioning? Can we really carry 50 pounds of gear, 50 miles, and make it there in 3 days? One thing that you should start doing when you start to prep is do a personal assessment. Look at your skills, look at your conditioning, look at what maybe medical needs you have, dietary needs you have, what kind of limitations you have. Do a personal, honest assessment. And what you may think you're going to do, the plan that you have in your head or the plan that maybe you wrote down, is it even possible? Who's part of that plan? Who else is with you on whatever it is, whether it's getting home, bugging out, bugging in? What are the needs of each member of your family, tribe, group, whatever it is? And does the plan work for everyone? So there's a lot to keep in mind going through as we're starting our new season of Are You Ready? I'm going to be here every weekend with you with brand new content. We're going to go through it because I love walking from even the simplest emergency to the doomsday scenario. Now, are you the only member in your household that's a prepper? See, that can be difficult. I see a lot of posts and I get a lot of messages. How do I get my other family members involved? They think I'm crazy. They think this is ridiculous. They think I spend too much money. They don't understand it. Have you sat down and spoke to them about, hey, if this happens, something simple, like, hey, if we get a flood, if there's a hurricane, pick a disaster that could happen in your area that's real, that has happened. Do the other members of your household, have they ever been through a situation? Do they remember when they weren't prepared and what they should have done differently? Approach it sometimes as, hey, this is what we're doing differently to make sure that this never happens again. Or if this happens, we don't want to be stuck in a situation that we cannot help ourselves, or that we're in trouble, that we're in danger. So build up a network too, other like-minded people. Now, of course, some are on the page where, I don't tell everybody about my prepping. They don't want to advertise and all that, and that's fine. See, if a disaster strikes, and you're the one that has all the stuff, you're the one that knows what they're doing, that's the zombie. The zombies are going to come after you because you have what they don't have. And so, of course, for your own protection, for your own safety, for your own survival, maybe you don't advertise to everybody that you're a prepper. Maybe you don't, run around talking about it to everybody you meet. Hey, yep, I'm buying. You don't go to the store and say, yep, I'm buying a whole case of this beef stew or a case of these MREs because I'm a prepper. And that's what's nice about buying stuff little by little. Or shopping really late at night if you are doing those big quantities. If you don't want people to know that you're prepping, do the shopping late at night when you're doing those big purchases. People don't look at it like, let's see, 1 pallet of water, 3 cases of beef stew, and he's cleaning out all the MREs in the camping section. This guy's getting ready for if it hits a chance situation. And then they know That's the guy we need to find. That's the guy that has all the stuff. That could also be the guy that has all the ammo. So maybe you don't want to go after his stuff. Never be a zombie. You want yourself to be sustained. Self-sufficiency, self-sustainability, and all that. And that's what prepping really is. So part of that is maybe in the conversation with not being the only prepper in your household, trying to help your family members understand what you're doing so that everybody's on the same page. That may be one way to go about it. Just explain, hey, if something happens, we don't need to rely on other people. Kind of goes back to what I was talking about in the very beginning of the show, where, if you've heard horror stories about when FEMA and the Red Cross come in, they don't have the supplies, they don't have it's a disaster sometimes. Things are mismanaged. People are not getting the supplies that they need. Hey, if they set up in a gym or a shelter or something, there's also security that becomes an issue with people that even if they have a candy bar, people want that because they don't have one. And then the Red Cross ends up sitting there, they take all that food away. They take anything that you have away. This way you don't have it, so no one else will take it from you. See, we can go on, and maybe we could do a whole episode about how the emergency management organizations operate. And this is something, you can go online and read the horror stories that happen. And that's another way maybe for your household to understand this is why we do it. And maybe you're not crazy for doing it. And some of these emergency management organizations, they don't keep in mind people with special needs. Some people may need insulin, glasses, medication, oxygen. They have wheelchairs and all that. Do you have the necessary preps in place so that when the time comes and you can't get a resupply of medicines, or, do you have backup glasses? Do you have enough oxygen for someone that may need oxygen? Is your bug out plan, will it accommodate someone in a wheelchair? Do you have a way to carry insulin? So all these things are things to keep in mind when you're designing your plan. And we're going to do a lot more on that in the upcoming episodes.
Well, thank you for joining me this week. I'll be back next week. Before we part, I want to share a few quick thoughts with you to reflect on and empower you in your prepping and survival lifestyle. First of which is planning. Planning is a very important part of survival, but kit knowledge and will to live is the most fundamental principle. Other factors are your mental conditioning. Confusion and fear will be the first reaction. Fear automatically stimulates the production of energy. How that energy is used depends on the conscious process of sorting out the confusion and transforming the flood of sensory input into coherent status reports that can be presented to the brain's higher reasoning sensors. See, with experience and discipline, the energy generated by fear can be channeled into purposeful action. Without it, energy will explode into panic and then dissipate into useless or even counterproductive activity. Speaking of the brain, though, monotony. The battle to survive requires your brain to continually interpret incoming signals for danger or opportunity. Your brain remains sensitive even when you sleep, although at reduced vigilance. It's designed for constant activity. If the level of outside stimulation falls too low, it will pick up and intensify signals from within or even make them up. If the brain does not get enough excitement, it will create its own. The key to treating boredom is to keep stimulation dynamic and personal. There are three additive forces at work in the struggle for survival, though. First is knowledge, but there's also conditioning, and of course, you need luck. When it comes to food, humans can go a long time without food, and if they are without water, they should. Even digesting carbohydrates consumes water, and all food contains at least some salt, which dries out your body even more. So think about that one. But you need to adapt and survive. See, human beings are work in progress.
still incompletely adapted to the various environments into which they have ventured, but they often have been able to survive there through a combination of animal instincts and intelligence, both of their own and their cultures. And that is what trumps their physical shortcomings. It's also accomplished with willpower. See, willpower does seem easy to summon in harsh situations where the terms of the struggle are brutally clear, but there's no room for dependence on others. That's the important part about willpower. If you have to leave your location, you always want to head in the opposite direction of disaster, have multiple bug-out spots, plan your routes, do extensive recon in all of the spots you pick so that you are familiar with the environment, nature, food, water, weather, and the terrain.
Well, I hope that I helped you seriously think, prepare, and answer the question, are you ready? I'm Nick Pierce, the Barefoot Prepper. I would like to thank everyone for tuning in and the support you give the show. Our guests, the callers, our friends in chat, listeners, clients, customers, everybody at the store, everything. Find Are You Ready on Facebook and Instagram at Are You Ready Radio. You can also find us on the web at nickpiercemedia.com. Click on the program's link. Find us on your favorite podcast platforms and on our home on Spreaker. To contribute to the show, go to Nick Pierce Media and click on the Support the Show link. Are You Ready Radio is the official podcast of Zombie Outpost in Wilmington, Ohio, and is an NP Media Group production.